there's far more important things than how you're looking and if you've got a six pack. And usually that is a product of good training. So if you're training properly, that is a byproduct of it, is you start to look better, you start to feel better. But personally for me, the most important thing is how you feel, how you move, and how you perform.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Trauma, Training and Transformation, the podcast where we explore movement, mindset and lived experience can help rebuild both the mind and the body. Today I'm joined by Tom Land, the fitness coach who works both online and in person, supporting people in their transformation from healing through training, nutrition and sustainable lifestyle change. In a world full of quick fixes and social media driven fitness advice, Tom focuses on something far more meaningful: long-term health, discipline and building habits that will actually last. In this conversation, we will explore the psychology behind fitness, how nutrition supports both physical and mental well-being, and why sustainable progress matters far more than perfection. Tom, thank you for joining us today, and please introduce yourself.
My name's Tom. I have been a coach now for I think 3 years, but been in and around strength and conditioning, the sport environment through several levels now for most of my life. So training and fitness is something that is partly integrated into me through everything I do.
Thank you, mate. So if you look at back your journey along fitness and sporting achievements, has it always been part of your day-to-day life, and is it really part of your DNA?
For a long time it was, and there was a period in my life where I came away from it a little bit, and that was more from a mental health standpoint. I had a few probably strange years where I didn't really know what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, like every young person does when they're reaching the ages of sort of 17, 18. And then because it was so integrated into my life, it was so easy to come back to, and sport kind of pulled me out of that a little bit. So it has always been there. I mean, I've played rugby since I was 5 years old. I've played every sport I can since I was young, sort of swimming, cricket, basketball, everything I could do, I did. So it's always been a part of me, for sure.
You talked about mental well-being and how that aspect of your own life has been impeded, really, as you've gone forward. So what did fitness give you then psychologically before it gave you anything physically?
It's either the first thing it gave me was community. I think it was the big one for me with rugby. That was the first thing it gave me. It gave me friendship. It gave me an outlet, maybe a place where I feel like I could express myself in a way I couldn't in other places. And then as I got older and my relationship with fitness started to progress, and I got into the gym a little bit more, and I got into really properly training, it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you how far you can push yourself, what you are truly capable of. I think the confidence it gives you in your own ability is second to none. And I find that a lot with people I train and coach as well, is that the confidence levels of people go through the roof. And that's pretty much what it's given me is the ability to back myself. And everyone talks about, delayed gratification, training. Your results aren't instant. They don't come around after a week of doing it. So the ability to stick to the process, buy into yourself, show yourself that sort of self-love is sort of what I got from it as I progressed through my training pattern.
That's amazing. And many people do get frustrated or lose that determination to continue because they don't see immediate. You mentioned gratification, but if it's not visible
100%.
to them, they can easily move away. But if you look at your own journey, was there ever a defining moment, especially in your own training? I mean, I've seen you play rugby and you're an exceptionally talented player, but what was that one moment personally that shifted your drive to be fitter, to be in that kind of environment?
I think I sort of had this sort of click in my head that I'm not going to be able to play rugby forever. And there was a sort of a driving factor in me that I want to get out of this as much as I can. I think from a young age, I suffered a lot with confidence with rugby. Didn't want to put myself out there. I would sort of not be a shrinking violet, but I would avoid putting myself on the big stage because I was scared of messing up. I didn't want to fail. I wouldn't go to county trials because I didn't want to fail. When I dropped out of my academy, I then didn't put myself back out there because I didn't want to fail. And I think it was probably around the ages of, probably as late as like 22, I thought, oh, you know what have you got to lose? So I thought a way to get myself there is to commit fully to the process and just give it a go, give it my best shot. I think that, like I say, the driving factor in that was time. Seeing people running out, seeing people maybe you thought you were better than achieving higher than you. So, you know, if they can do it, I can do it, sort of thing.
That's true, and everyone has their own aspirations and goals in life, really. And something that you're touching on there is obviously not just on the fitness side, but in professional environments. Many people see fitness as being a strategy, a way of weight loss, aesthetics, you know, how they want to look. But from your perspective, especially being a fitness coach, what is the deeper value of physical training?
I think the superficial stuff, like you mentioned, is how we want to look. Everyone wants a six pack. Everyone wants to look incredible in the mirror. Everyone wants to be admired. I think that's the very superficial stuff with training. But when you actually talk to people and take people through their fitness journey together, it comes down to a lot of people just want to be able to play with their grandkids to they're old. People want to be able to keep walking, keep doing the things they love in later life. Fitness starts to shift from being able to look good to feeling good and being able to perform how you want to. And I think that's a much healthier way of looking at fitness. Is it's almost a key to unlocking your longevity and your sort of peace of mind. And there is a stage where, you know, some people need to lose a lot of weight, but once they've lost the weight, then it becomes much more about, okay, sustainability, longevity, injury management. Health is wealth. It's not until you've had that big health scare or a big injury that you start to realize that there's far more important things than how you're looking and if you've got a six pack. And usually that is a product of good training. So if you're training properly, that is a byproduct of it, is you start to look better, you start to feel better. But personally, for me, the most important thing is how you feel, how you move, and how you perform.
Totally agree. And I think a lot of barriers to people is how much intrinsic value they place upon themselves to be healthy over how they look. And obviously, in your experience dealing with clients, how often do you see people change mentally, not just physically, through the process of training?
All the time. And in fact, I would say the mental battle is probably 90% of it. The physical stuff I take care of, the programming, the workout, the nutrition, everything like that. That's my job. I take care of that. The hardest battle is the mental one with people. So many people have so many different reasons as to why they struggle to do stuff. For some people, the biggest battle is just getting the courage to walk into the gym in the morning, into a busy gym. There's so many different reasons why, but like, you know, a lot of PTs always joke you've got to wear so many hats when you're with a client. You've got to be the PT, you've got to be the therapist, you've got to be the nutritionist, because the mental journey people go on is probably the biggest part of it all. You see people come in small, shrunken, you know, having that internal battle with themselves. For whatever reason it is, it might be that their self-esteem is so low that they place no value on how they look or how they feel, and they've just not given up on themselves, but they don't almost think themselves worthy of everything that they want. And then you start to slowly see that shift in their mindset as you start to train them. Like, okay, this is fun. This is what I want. This is what I want for my body. This is what I want for myself. And you slowly start to see them gain confidence in ability, and that transfers over into every other aspect of their life. You know, I've had people leave their job and go and pursue the career they want because their confidence is higher. I've had people, you know, start, it's a weird one, but even just start dating again because their confidence in their appearance and their personality is sky high because of their training, because they've put themselves out of their comfort zone and proved to themselves time and time and again that they can do it. And every single time they go into the gym, it's a win for them. And, you know, talk about like the compounding interest of the 1% wins and stuff like that, is just winning again and again and again for them in the gym is so powerful.
And that intrinsic connection that which you mentioned is about they internalize that desire to go back or that desire to start. Many people with mental health concerns, they struggle with that first step because they lack motivation, confidence, and those things. You see a lot of things online about motivational videos, but often once you're through the door, you still got to carry on fighting those barriers. So what do you see in relation to movement, and what does it reveal about a person when they overcome a difficult period in their training?
I think the biggest thing it reveals for me is somebody's somebody's like true discipline and desire to be able to do something. You can't make anybody want to do something unless they themselves want to do it. So you can tell the people that come through the door that really want to change but don't know how, and then you can tell the people that just have no idea what's going on in their mind, and this is sort of an outlet for them to come and try and fix something, if that makes sense. Training reveals, especially towards, the top end of training, so some of the S&C clients I have in Academy Rugby, it reveals how much you want something. It reveals how far you're willing to go, how much you're willing to sacrifice for yourself. And when you're in the gym, you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it, it's purely you versus you in the gym. And I think that's what's so good about it, is you're fighting your own, not your own demons, but you're fighting your brain, and you're learning your brain and how it decides to do things. And everybody's brain's different. Some people's brain tells them they want to go and run a 100k ultra, and some people can just switch into it and they can do it and they can just keep going and going and going. And then some people's brains tell them that a box squat is too much, it's going to overload their system. So you can find out pretty quickly what makes people tick, what's holding people back. And I think the gym is a great place to discover that, for sure.
Often in your role, you're designing these programs to create the best stimulation and growth in your clients, be it for physical gain or health benefits. But one thing you also provide is nutritional advice and performance-based work. So nutrition is often where people feel the most overwhelmed, I would say, because maybe lack of knowledge, or they worry about the financial implications that following a strict diet may provide. But if you were to simplify it, what are the key principles everyone should understand?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with it's the education. People just don't understand what to eat, and nutrition is very, very simple. It is purely just good quality of food. If I could do three things, it's hit your protein target, quality of food, and remove decision fatigue. So a lot of people want just quick, ready food there for them, which is why they, you go into a shop. What's the first thing you see? It's the meal deal section. Then it's the ready meals. Then it's the food you got to cook for yourself. So people will go in, they'll just grab a ready meal. They'll come out and they'll be like, "Oh, it's under my calories. It's all good." But then when you actually look at the back of the packet and what you're consuming, it's not what should be going into your body. So meal prep is the way forward for people. I say this to everybody, is you've got to prep your food. If you remove decision fatigue and you have the food there ready to go, you will eat it. Then it will stop you snacking, it will stop you doing all of that. It's putting that sort of hour, 2 hours in on a Sunday, ready to go for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially Thursday if you freeze it. Having that food ready to go there for you will change everything, the way you do stuff. How you break down the food is different to everybody. We could go really technical. We could go into, women. It's a lot more difficult for women because they've got so many more factors to factor in with their hormones and everything like that. So we won't go into all of that because that's too complicated. But just make sure you've got the right macronutrient split. So that's proteins, carbs, and fats. Don't be scared of fats. Good, healthy sources of food. So whole foods. There's a whole thing about seed oils online. Don't be scared of all of the jargon you hear online. Consuming a little bit of rapeseed oil with stuff is not going to kill you. Just be consistent with your diet. Keep ticking away. Keep hitting your protein. Keep hitting your carbs. Keep hitting your fats. Lots of leafy greens. Lots of veg. Don't overcomplicate it, because it doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
I think the fitness industry is one that constantly evolves over time because people bring up different products, or they come up with a different way of selling the same thing but from a different angle. And one of the things that's always had negative press is fats, how fats should be processed, and how you utilize that as an energy source going forward. But again, it comes down to education, and people can find anything out these days with the use of the internet. But when people are looking at nutrition, why do people struggle with it, especially when it comes to utilizing it in their everyday? They seem to struggle with nutrition more than the training itself.
I think the biggest thing it comes down to is habit, and it's really hard to change habits you already have. If you're sitting down every night and you're having a packet of biscuits after dinner, if you're snacking on crisps, if you've got that habit, it's really, really hard to change. And I think, like you say, it's incredibly overwhelming when you see online, be scared of this, be scared of that. And then whatever brand is releasing a new product will try and make you scared of what they're trying to fight. A few months ago, it was all about electrolytes. That's been the recent craze because of the recent spike in runners. So you've got all the brands being like, you need electrolytes. You're not going to sleep right. You're not going to wake up right. You're not going to be able to get through your day without electrolytes if you're running. that's true to a certain extent. If you're running over a certain distance, you are going to lose the quantities of the minerals that they're trying to put into your body. But for 90% of people, you're going to get that through a little bit of salt and a little bit of a banana after you run in your diet. You don't need all of these fad products that everyone's pushing your way. Everything can just come from a good, clean diet. And I think, again, I say this, I use this word quite a lot, it's the decision fatigue. Like, if you're having to pick between 100 different things you see online, rather than just one good bit of advice, you're always going to relapse to where you were at the start. And especially working with people, and everyone's different, everyone's journey is different, but people try and change too much too quickly. People try and go full cold turkey with all of their, not bad habits, but all their previous habits. They try and eat clean straight away. They don't eat any more chocolate. They completely cut out alcohol. They don't eat carbs past a certain time. They start fasting. They do all of these things at once. And then when they don't see any immediate effect, they'll relapse worse than they were before. And they'll go back to the drinking, the chocolate, and everything like that. So it needs to be small, sustainable steps en route to your goal. If you, for example, if you want to cut down the amount of units of alcohol you're drinking per week to help you lose a bit of weight, do it slowly. Start by changing the alcohol you're consuming to a lower calorie alcohol. For example, don't go out for have a beer, have a tequila lime soda, and then slowly start to reduce the amount of alcohol you're having per week. And then 3 or 4 months down the line, you'll find that you're no longer having 10 pints at the weekend. You're having 2 or 3 tequila lime sodas, and that's a sustainable habit change rather than just going cold turkey with everything. And I think that's the biggest problem I see, is everything's so all or nothing. Is I've got to change now. I've got to do this now. Slow down a minute. You've got to put the work in. You've got to earn the right to change before you just go axe it all off.
Yeah, and those processes that you talk about are for everyday person going through the normal daily life, right? And they can make subtle changes to improve themselves. So how important then is nutrition, not just for performance for people who are new to training or have long-term training cycles, but also for energy levels, mood, mental clarity?
It's the most important thing. If you can consistently nail down gym, that's the easy part, unless you mentally struggle with getting into the gym. But getting your gym routine is the easy part. The nutrition is the hardest part of the whole journey. And the benefit it has on you is, like you say, it's not just for mental clarity, focus, whatsoever, but the stuff you can't see, which is what's going on inside you. People underestimate the compounding effects of a bad diet until you're at the stage where it's too late, or you're having to take a pill for something, or you're in hospital with certain disease. A balanced diet doesn't just look like getting the right macronutrients down. It's something that's sustainable for you in your life and what's healthy for you in your life. We're not going to give them 17 targets at once to hit. Okay, we're going to start by first fixing the quality of their food. And that's the biggest thing I can say to anybody, is quality of food. Is go get your whole meats, go get your veg, go get your fruit, go get your good carb sources, potatoes, whole grain rice, everything like that. Once you've fixed your quality of food, then you can fix how that looks in your diet. Because quality of food is the biggest driver of change I've seen. You know, if you look at, say, take a McDonald's, for example, 1,000 calories of McDonald's and 1,000 calories of, say, potatoes, fish, eggs, watermelon, spinach, carrots, whatever you want to do, the volume you're getting from that McDonald's is not going to fill you throughout the day. And it's going to compound throughout the day. And by the end of the day, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be bloated, you're going to be whatever. If you get good quality food, it's going to fill your stomach throughout the day. It's not going to lead to bloating. You're going to feel better about yourself. And in turn, that's going to help you make better decisions throughout other aspects of your life. So I would say the biggest effect I see of changing the quality of food is the decisions transferring into other areas of life. So if you're feeling good, if you're eating good, if you've got good energy, if you've got good sleep, if you've got less brain fog, it starts to transfer over to other areas of your life and helps you make more positive decisions, like going to the gym, like spending more time with your family. And it will be little subconscious decisions that people don't even realize is happening, but because they've got, like you say, better mental clarity, better energy, better sleep, better focus, their mood will improve, their happiness will improve. You know, I've seen people who have been depressed most days, not wanting to get out of bed, struggling in their career. As soon as they've fixed nutrition, everything's become brighter. You know, that they're not struggling with work anymore. Their sleep quality's improved. Their enjoyment of their life's improved. Spending more time with their kids, getting outside more. Everything becomes better just by improving the quality of their food. So I think that is the biggest thing I try to get through to people is food quality, rather than worrying about sort of calories, protein split, macro breakdown. It's just quality of food.
Hi everyone, do me a favor. If the message and conversation with Tom resonates with you, please like, share and subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from hearing it, and it will do me a massive favor with the algorithm. Many people start fitness programs, Tom, but struggle to stay consistent. From your experience as a fitness coach, why do people really fall off the track?
There's so many drivers to this. I think one of the biggest ones is they try and do too much too quickly. Like I've said with the nutrition, they try and make too many changes in their life too quickly, and they lose, you know, that's that negative reinforcement. If stuff doesn't work straight away and they've tried to do too many things, and if you try and do too many things straight away, it's never going to work. You're going to fail somewhere. And once they see that failure, motivation drops and you never see them again in the gym. Another one is they try and go alone. You know, people try and do it by themselves. They don't go with a friend. They don't, you know, if they don't know what they're doing, they don't invest in a PT. Isolate themselves because they're nervous in the gym and they're going to stand in the corner, and it's not an enjoyable experience. And if you don't enjoy something, you're never going to want to do it. So you have to make the process as enjoyable as possible. And I think the other big one I see is people just don't have the mental space for it in their lives sometimes. So they're not ready for that commitment. They're not ready for that change. And I think some people might come back to it at a later date, and then some people might never get round to it. But that's not something you can force somebody to do who's not ready to commit, because you need to commit so much to be able to change your life around. So I think those are the three biggest drivers I see of why people drop out of the gym.
Could it be also linked to maybe the life-work balance that they have to struggle with? Could they be fearful of the program itself and worry that are they able to sustain that? Or is it something deeper then? Or could it be a mental blockage?
100%. I think, you know, one of the biggest, not excuses, but one of the biggest reasons you hear is time, right? It's people like, I don't have time, I've got to work, I've got to, you know, got to go from work straight home to pick the kids up, and people's lives get busy. You sort of say to these people, is like, if you can't find even half an hour in your day for yourself, then what are you gonna expect to get out of this journey? You know, you've got to start breaking down your day, especially around work, and realize that everybody can find half an hour in their day, whether it's at lunchtime, whether it's just instead of getting the bus to work or the train or wherever you are in the world, or driving, you park 15 minutes away and you get those 15 minutes of steps in. Fitness can look different. It doesn't have to be getting into the gym. And I think with regards to being scared of the program, that tends to happen when you go and buy a one size fits all program. When you go online, when you see, you know, the ripped guy training with his top off online, you're like, oh, I want to look like this guy. What he's doing is working. And you go and buy his training program and you realize he's 10, 15 years into training, and what he's doing is never going to look like what you should be doing at the start of your journey. So I think the biggest message from that is fitness is not a one size fits all process. It is very, very specific to you, your life and your goal. And if you have the means, and not everybody has the means, but go out and talk to somebody and see how fitness can look in your life. Plan it with somebody. Don't go and get a PT if you don't want to, but go and talk to somebody online and have a call with them and try and work out how to fit around your routine. How do you fit around your fears, your mental process? Because it's not a one size fits all policy with that stuff.
You work with clients both online and in person. How do you help people build routines that generally fit into their lives then? As we just touched on there about the work-life balance.
So I think the biggest thing is starting really small. It's not changing much about their life. Whatever they're doing at the moment, you start to look at how we can use the word optimize, how you can optimize what they're doing in their life. So take, for example, a mother, she does the school run in the morning. She works a 9 to 5 after that, and then has to go and pick the kids up from school after. There's no time in her day, right? So that's where we've got to start making small changes. And it's once you drop the kids off, like I say, can you walk? somewhere? At work, can you take the steps instead of the elevator? At lunchtime, that's your hour break. Can you go and get the gym in then? And you start to look at their processes and their life specifically, and you start to find time and you start to find ways of optimizing what they do. Because you're never going to be able to change picking the kids up or going to work, and it's pointless. And you see a lot of things online. So if you're not getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning before your kids are up, you're never going to achieve your goals. And that's not sustainable for people. People don't want to get up at 5 a.m. every morning before their kids are up and get an hour's workout in, because then they're drained. They're not present with their kids. They're not able to be there for their family. So I think the hardest part with routine change and stuff like that is nutrition, because when you start to add other factors like families into it, you're not just cooking for yourself. For me, it's easy. I'm only cooking for myself. I don't have to worry about anybody else. But when you're trying to cook for your family, another partner, if your partner's not on the fitness trend with you and is not wanting to lose weight, that can also add a whole nother layer of resistance into it. So it's about finding out what's working for them and what makes their family tick. And like I say, one of the biggest resistance drivers from all is maybe going at it alone. So if your partner's not trying to work through something with you or trying to eat healthy, that's another layer of resistance that you've got to factor into it. So getting them on board is really important, and doing it together so you can sort of channel all of your efforts into one journey as a couple. But again, and like I say, prep is so important. Meal prep with nutrition. Everybody can make an hour on a Sunday, even if it's, getting the kids in the kitchen with you and making a fun afternoon of it. Plan your week. Plan what meals you're going to have. If you know that dinner's got to be flexible, make sure that breakfast and lunch is fixed down for you every day. Make sure you've got that structure and that sort of consistency on those two meals. That's your time. And then when you get home, you're allowed a little bit more flexibility with the family, with the kids and everything like that. But it's making sure you've got the structure and the systems in place to handle the heavy lifting. And then you talk about the 80-20 rule. If your structure and your systems handle the 80%, and that 20% at home can be more flexible, and you can allow yourself sort of relax and not put pressure on eating clean and maybe have that chocolate with kids, etc.
A big term used in physical training is patience, having the patience to wait for the results to happen, give the process the respect it needs. But what you touched on a little bit there is creating habits, style habits that can be long-term. So what habits do you see separate those who succeed long-term with their fitness goals over those who struggle to maintain?
Just consistency is the one thing, and it's small habits, not just people who do small things consistently over and over again. And it's something I say to everybody I train is 50% done consistently beats 100% done occasionally. And it's a repeating theme here is small, manageable habits done consistently. That's all it is. Just pick something you can do, pick something you can enjoy, just keep doing it again and again and again. If it gets too much, try and do too much at once, you'll never be able to get that consistency. You'll never be able to get that enjoyment from it, because it will always feel like a task and it will always feel like a chore to get it all in. And that's when it's going to break down, and that's when it's never going to work.
Now, we talked a little bit about program and we talked about nutrition, but how important is this big thing, sleep, recovery and stress management, especially when it comes to the overall health and performance of one of your clients or an athlete?
Sleep is probably the biggest thing that people struggle with. It's like I said, everybody's so different, and there's so many different factors in everybody's life. Stress wise, it's such a specific thing to you. But again, it comes down to consistency and structure and routine. If you've got a 30-minute routine every night before you go to bed, where you've put your phone down, you're not checking work emails, you're not scrolling online looking at somebody with a physique you want and triggering that cycle in your brain before you're going to bed, that helps massively. If you're eating a bar of chocolate half hour before you're going to bed, that helps massively. And it's just getting that consistency with routine and structure. When you get up in the morning, get up and move. Your wake up routine is just as important as your bedtime routine. And I think the biggest thing that helps most people I train is having a set bedtime and a set wake up time. And again, it's different with everybody. If you've got a load of young kids that are running into your room at 5:30 in the morning, you're never going to be able to set what time you're waking up. But what you can do is, once they're in bed, is you can control your nighttime routine. And that's what I mean. You can only control the controllables. So if you know that you're going to be waking up 5:30 by your kids, make sure that you're in bed at a decent time to counter for that, and just build consistency, build routine. You don't need to be taking all of these supplements for sleep online. The magnesium, zinc and stuff like that. It's the added 1% that's going to help you. And you don't need to stress about all of that. It's not worth it.
On this podcast, we often explore how movement can help and rebuild identity and purpose. And the work that you've done with your clients using fitness as a way to rebuild confidence or navigate difficult periods in their life. Have you seen the results of that? And have you seen how that's transferred from fitness to dealing with day-to-day life?
100%. Everybody I train, you see massive change in them. I'm sure they won't mind me using them as examples, but like I said earlier, is you got people that have left their jobs and gone on to other work that they've always wanted to do because of the confidence they've gained in themselves from the gym. And that's the biggest area I would say you see it is confidence in people. It unlocks this sort of drive they didn't know they had in themselves, if that makes sense. It unlocks this, it's like a quiet confidence in their own ability, because they've seen that when they put the work in, it comes out, and they've seen that actually putting myself out of my comfort zone isn't too bad. And good things happen when you buy into the process and you stick to it and you keep working for yourself and you keep that drive for yourself going. It's probably the most rewarding part of my job, is seeing people happy with the results and seeing people succeeding in other areas of their life. And that's sort of why you do it. That's why it keeps you going.
Very much so. And often with fitness, it goes way beyond the physical results that they see. Discipline in structure and routine often helps athletes sustain long periods of time, especially when they're trying to achieve fitness goals. But do you see that discipline transfer into the normal everyday life, be it work or pastime?
Yeah. 100%. And I think it's like I say, like it won't be massive change. It's not going to be like, oh my God, they're a completely different person. But you'll start to notice it in little areas of before, where they might have said yes to everybody to people please. They've got the confidence to say no now. And it'll be small areas of their life like that, where they start to come in and be like, oh, I did this for the first time the other day, or I'm going out and I'm doing this activity I always wanted to do. And it'll be small changes like that you'll slowly start to see creeping into their lives. And it almost opens a door for them to do more things that they've always wanted to do, in a way. And that's the biggest thing I've noticed from my clients is they're much more themselves. They're happier, they're brighter, they're sharper in a way. They're not half glass empty, they're more half glass full when they're in the gym and they're succeeding.
Once they see those physical changes and also the internal changes, they become more able to transfer those skills into whatever they're doing. So if someone today listening to this podcast feels stuck in their own health, their energy is low, or the motivation is lacking, what would you say is the most important first step that they could take?
It's hard to say without seeing where somebody is in their journey. Honestly, the most important first step, as they're on it, is go out and find a gym or a community that you feel happy in. Because once you get that gym and community it doesn't even have to be a gym. It could be a walk club, a run club, a cycle club, or whatever form of activity you want to do. Get around other people that are on the same path as you, are sharing the same journey as you, because it makes it so much easier when you've got people to hold you accountable and to do it together. And that's the first step I would say to anybody, is put yourself in the right environment to succeed in what you want to succeed in.
Thank you very much. And finally, Tom, if you could look back and speak to the younger version of yourself at the beginning of your individual journey, what would you tell him about fitness, discipline, and building a meaningful life?
Just get on with it. It's never going to be perfect, and there's no point worrying about making everything perfect. You're not gonna You're not going to go in at the top. You're not going to be perfect every game. You're not going to hit max lifts every rep. Just take it slowly and keep going. Keep that consistency. Surround yourself with people who want to succeed. Don't let setbacks knock you down like they did with me. And I think just buy into the process, keep going. Just consistency, 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 consistency. That's what I would drill into my younger self. Is it's not where you want to be in a year, it's where you want to be in 5. Just keep going, keep going, keep going with everything. Sport, gym, nutrition, and you will get there.
Tom, thank you very much for sharing your experience and being on the podcast today. It's great to share this space with you and listen to your insights. You can find links to Tom's online coaching in the description box below. Conversations like this remind us that fitness is not just about physical appearance, it's also about building resilience, discipline, and long-term well-being. You can find this podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you find your podcast. You can also find it on my YouTube channel on James Alder 003. Come and join the community, share your experiences and insights. And if this conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who you feel may benefit or need to hear it. Because movement has the power to change more than the body, it has the power to transform the mind. Thank you for listening, and see you on the next one.